Hey everyone. Today we're going to go over subtracting mixed numbers. Now, as far as fractions go, this is one of the more challenging skills for students in 4th grade, especially when we have mixed numbers where we're not able to just directly subtract our fraction across. So if we looked at our whole numbers here, we know that we can do 3 minus 1. No problems there. However, when we look at our fraction, we cannot take 2/4 away from 1/4. It doesn't work. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at 3 different strategies that students can use when subtracting mixed numbers. Once we go through all 3, feel free to pick your favorite, whichever one makes the most sense to you. So if we look at our first strategy, this is modeling. So with modeling, what you would want to do is you would want to model your first fraction, whether it's fraction circles, fraction bars, whichever makes the most sense to you or whatever your favorite is. Just for sake of time, I'm going to do circles just because I can probably do them a little bit faster. All right, we are working with fourths here. So again, I'm going to model that first larger fraction. So we have 3 1/4. So I know that 3 1/4, if I was looking at this on a number line, it would be between 3 wholes and 4 wholes. Okay, so I'm going to shade in my 3 wholes. And then I'm going to represent that fractional piece with my 1/4 down here. Now, to show subtracting with models, what we're simply going to do is we're going to cross out or eliminate, take away this second fraction, and we're going to see what we have left. So I know that from my 3 1/4, I'm going to take away 1 whole. Does not matter which one you cross out. So let's get rid of this one. And then I'm also going to take away 2/4. Well, to make my life easier, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. That's 1/4. And then I'm going to take 1 piece from that whole. Okay. Now, in order to see what I have left, I'm going to count up. I see I have my 1 whole remaining here. And if I look at my second model here, I have 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 remaining. So my difference here, 3/4 minus 1 2/4 is going to be equal to 1 3/4. Okay. So that's the model, very straightforward as long as you're able to draw those and represent those. Let's go ahead and look at how we can change it to improper fractions. So when you change a mixed number to an improper fraction, there are a couple ways to do it, but I like to teach my students a very quick trick of multiplying and adding the numerator. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to multiply 4 times 3, which is 12, and we add the top. So 12 plus 1 is 13. Denominator stays the same. And we're going to do the same thing to our 1 2/4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. From here, we're able to subtract directly across. 13 minus 6 is 7. Denominator stays the same. Now, depending on the expectation, sometimes we can leave this as an improper fraction, but of course, if we were required to change it back to a mixed number, what we would want to do is we need to just pull out our whole fraction. So if we have 7 1/4 pieces, I know that I can put 4 of those together to make 1 whole. And if I'm taking away 4 from 7, I have 3 left over. Okay, so 4 over 4, that's the same thing as 1 whole, and then I'm going to bring down my fraction. Okay, so 1 3/4. That is the second strategy. This one works particularly well if you have really large numbers. Because let's be real, if you have, say, 10 wholes, you probably don't want to have to draw out 10 different models. Or, you know, if your denominator is 12ths or larger, that gets really difficult in representing a model with that accurately. So improper is a good strategy to use, like I said, especially when you're having those larger fractions. Okay. And our last example is regrouping. So regrouping is going to be what we're kind of used to using with our traditional subtracting, but we are just going to be pulling out one of our whole numbers and using that to help us change our fraction. So again, we see here 3 1/4 minus 1 2/4. We cannot do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these whole numbers, which would be represented as 4 over 4, is going to be 1, and we're going to add it to our fraction. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. So instead of 3, I'm taking 1 away. And now that 3 turns into a 2, and I'm adding this up here. So now instead of 1/4, I'm adding 4 pieces to that, and it turns into 5 over 4. Again, all I did is I took 1 whole away from my 3 and added it to my fraction. So my 3 turns into a 2, and that 1 whole that I took out, adding it to my numerator. So now instead of 1/4, I have 4 over 4. Now from here, I can do my straight across subtraction. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 minus 2 for our numerators is 3. Denominator stays the same. Okay. All right, my friends, that is 3 different strategies for subtracting mixed numbers. Like I said, pick and choose which ones make the most sense to you. It's always a good idea to have multiple strategies in your back pocket. Thank you.